Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with another live match review. Today we've seen Leicester drop more points, this time at home, and Spurs win their London derby 2-0 against West Ham. Mourinho gets his first win after the lockdown period. Today I am joined by, again, esteemed guest, Ramsey, of course, Arsenal fan. He's here again. And the guest we have today, Toby from Tap-In Football Podcast, and Neil, the Leicester City fan. Can you remind us of your podcast?
Yeah, so it's Beyond the 90. So LCFC, so we just do commentary on Leicester City stuff.
Yeah, you would have seen me and Ramsey do some work with LCFC Boya.
Yes,
a few times on his channel.
Nice one.
Yeah, we're gonna get right into it. To be honest, top four race is all that everyone in here has been focusing on coming into the resumption of the Premier League. You know, some teams might be out of it now, some teams well in it. That's what we're gonna get into. So we're gonna start with Spurs. Obviously, that was the later kickoff, 8:15 kickoff even today, and that ended 2-0 own goal. And Harry Kane on the score sheet for the first time in what seems like a very, very long time. Of course, we know he had the injury that looked to rule him out of the season and what would have been the Euros, European Championships this summer. But of course, with the lockdown period, a lot of those injured players that Spurs had, the likes of Son, the likes of Bergwijn, etc., before the break, they're now back. And at least, two of them, they've fired for Mourinho so far in the first two games. I'm going to go straight to Toby. What did you make of the game?
It was a good result. Clean sheet, beat the scum. Yeah, on paper, it's Harry Kane scores. On paper, it's everything we want when we play West Ham. Clean sheet, our best striker scores, and we win the game. But you have to look. The thing is, I'm so used to looking beyond results now. Not just when Mourinho is there, even when Pochettino is there. And you can't be happy with that performance. I'm happy with the result, but you can't be happy with that performance. West Ham are a side fighting for relegation, yeah? So I'm not going to be disillusioned by the fact that we beat them 2-0. They have been poor this season. But for a large period of that game, we struggled to break them down. And even beyond breaking them down, we struggled to fashion moves together. We couldn't string 6-7 passes in succession and actually try and dislodge that defense. And in the end of the day, we needed an own goal to make that breakthrough. And it was only until the end where they were committing more bodies forward that we were actually finding space. We seemed a bit more relaxed in the second half, but I'm not happy with that performance.
Looking at the way that Spurs played, I mean, it's kind of classic Jose. And I guess some teams, depending on how they played in the past, say Man United or Spurs under Pochettino at times, it's like, do we want the fancy football or the attractive football, or do we want the results? And Jose is let's get the lead however we can, and then you come on to us and we'll hit you on the counter-attack. And of course, you got the goal on the counter-attack.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
you're
right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Go on.
Nah, you're right. That's him. That's him to a T. But I don't like it. Listen, if I had faith that it was going to get us results, it was going to win us trophies and whatnot, then I'm all for it. But as we saw with Man United, as we saw in his last season at Chelsea, those methods are outdated. He can't win the major honors playing that way. He can't.
Okay. We'll get onto Jose in a bit. We have to speak about him, of course. He keeps himself very much in the media, so of course we're going to speak about him. I'll come to our next guest, Neil. Obviously, Leicester City sitting, they're sitting pretty in third place, you have to say, because third place for Leicester this season, nobody would have expected it going into the start of the season. I'm not going to say it's because Man United, Spurs, Arsenal ain't playing well. You have to give credit to Leicester. Have to give credit to Leicester for the way they've played, the way Brendan Rodgers has got them playing since he came in at the end of last season, and they've grown from strength to strength. As a matter of fact, to the envy of some of the teams I just mentioned, and us three in the chat here at times. But 2 games back after the break, drew 1-1 with Watford. Granted, that was a late goal for yourself, but a last-minute equaliser from Watford, and then drew 0-0 today with relegation threatened Brighton, and you have to give thanks to Castle Schmeichel for that penalty save from one of the least famous people on the red side of North London at the moment, Neil Maupay, or Maupay even. What's your view on that game, that 0-0 draw, and Leicester start even after the lockdown?
So Leicester start's not been great, to be honest. After the lockdown, it's not been that great, to be honest. The issue is we just can't seem to get going. So the way that they play, at the moment is quite a dynamic style of football, but we're just not going into games. And against Watford, yeah, you can say it's the first game back. It takes time, and it seems to have gone backwards. I can't slate Brendan Rodgers too much because of what he's achieved in the first year. The fact that we lost Harry Maguire and etc. and other players have come through, and we've lost Ricardo, which has been a massive loss for us because he's a massive injury out for about until October. So we've got James Justin filling in that position. But overall, this performance was a backward step from what happened against Watford. And the issue is, I'm not sure if we're going to get better from this. We're in a different position. So I think we're on 55 points now. Chelsea are on 51 and Man United and Wolves are on 46. And we've got enough goal difference to keep us in the game. But the issue was the tactics for this match. We've played this formation before earlier on in the season, and it just didn't work. So he tried it again, still didn't work, but he kept with it. And he played two central defensive midfielders, which is what our last manager did, and it just ruined us. So it seems like a backward step. It is Rodgers' fault, without trying to sound too pessimistic, because he's the one that put this decision out there and didn't change it when it wasn't working. For example, in the first half, I think Vardy had 2 touches of the ball. That's it. Both of them were outside the box. So it was a tactical change that didn't work. So hopefully going forward, we should be okay. But it's taken a lot of time, and a lot of teams have struggled. But we'll see what happens. But overall, we're not happy with the point.
But what has changed, I would say, in 2020? Because before, before the year started, Leicester were attacking. They were flying forward, really. Vardy was on form. I don't know. He hasn't scored many goals. I think he scored in December, and he went on this long run, I think, without scoring. Then he scored against Aston Villa just before the break. He hasn't scored, obviously, since we've come back from the lockdown. You've only won, I think, 2 Premier League games in 2020. What has changed from, let's say, the first half of the season to the second half of the season?
I think the big thing that's changed is just tiredness. Now, we saw this with Liverpool when Rodgers demands a certain level of fitness from the team. And bearing in mind, we've got a young team, dynamic team that is going places. You give this team a couple of years' time, if they stay together, they'll do amazing things. But this is the first full season under Rodgers. Bearing in mind, we got him in February of last year, and that was giving me 10 games to kind of go, right, here's what's happening with your squad. You know what you're doing. Get on with it. And I think the squad is just struggling slightly at the moment. The issue, as Anthony just put in now, LCFC Boyer, is that we're playing Sud CDMs at home. And the problem is them two Ndidi is a great player, but he's been cancelled out by Mendy. And this is the same problem we had with our last manager. So I agree. It is part of the manager that is the issue. But I think overall, it was always going to be hard to hit them heights that we did at the beginning of the season, because we came flying out the blocks with a good preseason. We got that 9-0 win against Southampton, and it was almost impossible to keep that level up. We've not got really the squad depth that the top 6, the normal top 6 that have. So inevitably we were going to fall because we were at such a high level and just performing game in, game out. But since the lockdowns come in, we've scored 1, drawn 2. It's not the end of the world, but we just got to hope that the likes of the Chelsea and the Man U don't really come to the front and overtake us, because it does not look like we're picking up the pace anytime soon.
Go on.
I was gonna say, why didn't Harvey Barnes start today? Because I agree with you as well. Playing Mendy and Ndidi in a midfield 2 by itself is redundant. It just doesn't make sense to me, because there's no spark or creativity there. And like you said, Brighton, even though they play a positive brand of football effectively, they're coming to a side who are, by all accounts, significantly better than them. So they're going to set up to try and contain you and hit you on the break. So I didn't understand why Brendan Rodgers didn't take more risk with his lineup. Madison on the left, he's okay, but he's far more influential in the middle as well. I think weirdly enough, you lot won 5-0 before the lockdown, but I still felt that the lockdown came at the right time for you because your overall form, if you looked at the past 4 or 5 games, wasn't that great. I would have thought you'd come back a bit more refreshed, etc. But it looks like you're still sort of stuttering to a certain extent, and if you're not careful, like you said, you could end up in this battle for the 4th spot between Man United, Chelsea, and so on and so forth. No,
I think you're right. I think there's some parts that we played, like today, playing through CDMs was a bad idea. And we've got other players like Hamza Chowdhury and Dennis Pratt. Both of them, Hamza Chowdhury is more get in your face, close down the space midfielder. We've had Dennis Pratt, who's more of a box-to-box midfielder. And Yuri Tillemans, I can understand you want to have a break. That's fine. He came on as a sub. But even then, it was the wrong move playing them two. I agree. Playing them two central defense, two CDMs just doesn't work because a better person in that position just kind of goes, I'll know what I'm doing. Leave this to me, and you do the creative work. Sticking again, I agree with you. Sticking Madison out on the left is just not working. We've seen it earlier in the season where Vardy didn't get as many touches and we didn't have as many shots on target. But now that we just need to sit Madison in that number 10 position, and he works amazingly. He knows what he's doing, but I don't know what the thought process was, apart from we're saving our team until the quarterfinals against Chelsea.
Well, I mean, it will be definitely a risk if he's not willing to, but risking points against what should be, I mean, based on league position, should be wins at Watford and Brighton for FA Cup. Which, if we're talking about form, the way Chelsea played against Aston Villa has been far better than how Leicester played in their first 2 games. So, you don't want to fall out of the top 4 and fall out of the FA Cup in the same fashion. But we'll get on to the top 4 in a second. We'll come to Ramsey. Arsenal fan. We're not going to talk about Arsenal today, so you can put a smile on your face. Spurs. I'm going to talk about Spurs, your rivals. They are, on 45 points now. They've just gone... Let me see, 5 points ahead of Arsenal. Obviously, you lot got a game in hand. We discussed Arsenal already, so we don't have to talk about them. But when it comes to Spurs, would you say that they are in the race for top 4?
Yeah, I think they are in the race for top 4. You can't rule them out. No. Yeah, I think they're in the race for the top 4, top 5, or whatever it might be at the end of the season. You can't rule them out because their fixtures, for me, it's not necessarily about how great they are or not, but they've got very, very good fixtures going towards the end of the season. Probably more favourable than Chelsea, maybe on par with Man United. And I think there's a chance for them to do it, but they just need to have a consistency in the way they play. Obviously, Jose's got the way he thinks he wants the team to play, and the reality is they got the results. They got a point against Manchester United, probably wanted to win, but they definitely take a point. And then to beat West Ham, so 4 points from the 2 games, that's probably what Jose would have wanted, I think. And it will just be a case of, can they keep the players fit? Kane, Ali, Son, Bergwijn. They got a decent team now, especially attackingly. So they got a chance. I was going to say about the goals today, though, because obviously first goal shouldn't have been a goal, right? I mean, handball in the build up to the play is always always cancelled. That should never have been a goal by letter of the law.
Yeah, it's a dodgy one, because you know what? Obviously, we didn't see it straight away. It was only when they came back, like, I don't know, a few minutes later, they said this is what the VAR were checking for. But I'm like, but then if the VAR are checking for that, it kind of looked like it struck his hand. Was it 100%? Were they 100% sure that it struck his hand? That's the thing, because obviously the referee gave the goal, so you have to be 100% sure that it did hit his hand.
But it 100% did hit his hand. And they said it was inconclusive for them, but when you slow the replay down, you can clearly see it hits his hand. I think for me it's clear. It kind of ricochets up and then it hits the defender and goes in. For me, I mean, that I don't agree with the rule, but that's the rule. And for me, when you slow it down, look at it on the replay, which they can do, and they are VAR. They can they can look at it from how many angles they tell us that they have. They can see that hits his hand, and that goes in the to go in the back of the net. As much as right as they were with the Son goal in the first half, which was correctly ruled out for being clearly offside. So a bit of inconsistency there.
Toby, do you agree? Should that goal have been ruled out?
You know what's crazy? I didn't even I didn't really see the handball, so I didn't watch the latter angle. As soon as that ball went in and I saw it was a goal, I was just celebrating. But I mean, I think the rule was dumb anyway. If we're following the rules, it should have been ruled out. Let me be real, because that rule, it's worked in our favor before, where Jesus handled. I remember right back at the start of the season against Man City, Laporte handled the ball. Jesus then puts it back in the net. So if it hits his hand, which apparently it looks like it did, then it should have been ruled out. And yeah, so that's pretty much it, to be honest.
You were shaking your head when Ramon was talking about. Let me see if I can get this up again. Was talking about the
top four
race.
Yeah, I already know fixtures.
I was looking at the fixtures. So you've got Sheffield United next away. I mean, that doesn't really matter. Home and away these days. Everton home, Bournemouth away, Arsenal home, Newcastle away, Leicester home, and Crystal Palace away. Is it the points difference, or is it the fixtures coming up, or maybe a mixture of both, why you think Spurs are not in the top four race?
It's neither. It's not. The fixtures aren't easy. They're not exactly the worst, but we probably have us and Chelsea, probably us and maybe Arsenal actually. Sorry, have the joint sort of worst fixtures of that batch. United have an easier running than us, and they're already on paper, sorry, and they have a game in hand as well. So if you win your game in hand, which I think you're gonna against Brighton, you'll be 5 points clear again. I think you have a clearer path to attack Chelsea and to consolidate your position above us. And I just don't trust us to be consistent. Even if we got a fully fit team available, I don't trust us to be consistent, because that defense doesn't inspire me with confidence, and the manager doesn't inspire me with confidence as well. So I don't really trust. I think the gap is way too much for us to build up, let's say, 3-4 wins on the spin. I can't see it happening. I don't think we've even won 3 games on the spin this season in the league. So I can't see it happening.
Before we talk more about the top four race, you mentioned the defense, and obviously the first game back was Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez. I was surprised. Not gonna lie. I was like, damn, Eric Dyer, no Alderweireld, no Vertonghen. I was licking my lips. I'm like, Martial, Rashford, hat-trick E. No, obviously not that dude, but I was licking my lips. I mean, he played the same again this game. We know that Vertonghen has signed an extension to finish the season. I'm not sure what Alderweireld's situation is. Are you surprised that he's gone with these two? One, Sanchez, who I get criticized as a bit reckless or something along those lines. Dyer, who hasn't really played at centre back since his debut season, and this is the first time he played, I think, centre back under Jose Mourinho. Are you surprised by that decision to pair those two at the heart of the defense?
I'm not surprised, because he's always had a hard on for Eric Dyer. We saw it from the minute he came into this team. Eric Dyer straight into central defensive midfield, and it took Eric Dyer playing so badly that he finally decided that, yep, I can't play you in midfield. And Dyer, I don't really rate him at centre back anymore. I just don't think he's good enough for us anymore. But Mourinho played him centre back v Leipzig, but before we got dumped out, he played him there in the FA Cup game against Norwich, I think, before he got dumped out. And he played him there against Wolves. And over those 3 games, I know we didn't win. We lost. I think we lost. Yeah, we lost all 3 matches. But Eric Dyer was actually a reasonably decent performer. So I always knew in the back of my mind.
What game was it when he charged into the stands? Was he playing centre back? Who was that against? I can't remember now.
That was against Norwich.
Oh, Norwich. Okay.
Yeah, that was against Norwich. Yeah. So, and yeah, he was playing centre back that game as well. So yeah, I've always known that, like, it's something he could pull up his sleeve. Apparently he cites it down to Alderweireld potentially not being like as fit as Eric Dyer right now. But me personally, the defense is a mess. Davinson Sanchez is the only defender who I look at now and I think we have a future with. Alderweireld, he's past it, he's declining. But I think we may obviously we've got him to a 3-year deal, so he's going nowhere. Jan Vertonghen, he's leaving at the end of the season, and I think it's the right decision because his legs have completely gone. Aurier, for all his uses going forward, he can't defend. Ben Davies, he's a nothing fullback. He's not good offensively, and he's no longer good defensively. Like, he's not poor, but he's just not good enough for us. He's a nothing player, so that gives you a poor defense.
It's Sessegnon future.
Sessegnon, I like him, but he's not a left back yet. We knew that when we bought him. We knew that when we bought this guy's got massive potential, but he's not someone who's going to come straight into this team and play because he needs molding into that left back position. We saw at Fulham, he easily switches off in terms of concentration, and physically, he's not someone who's quite aggressive. And a key part of the Pochettino game was being aggressive off the ball. So he needs work. We know he's a long-term work in progress, but I'm not worried about him. What I am worried about is that more experienced players who are just not good enough.
Fair enough. I'm going to come back to Neil. We're obviously talking top 4. And Leicester, who are currently, 4 points. 4 points ahead of Chelsea. Chelsea got a game in hand. They are 9 points ahead of Manchester United, who's also a game in hand. Are you okay? I want to ask 2 questions. Before the lockdown, were you worried about losing out on a top 4 position? And post lockdown, post the 2 results, are you now worried about losing a top 4 position?
Post lockdown, I would have said no. Now that we're in this section, I'm not sure. I'll say maybe because Chelsea look like they're on a bit of fire. Man United, anything can happen. Like if you can get Pogba and Fernando's firing, you can win. But it will be an interesting game. Yeah, that one coming up on the 26th at the end, last game of the season. Our fixtures look okay. Like we've got
okay.
Well, I mean Chelsea, but that's in the quarterfinals,
Everton,
so that don't count. Everton is a roll of the dice. We'll have to see. Crystal Palace look decent. Arsenal, I don't know. But then when it comes to Tottenham and Man U, the thing is, Leicester tend to do quite well against the top 6. It's the bottom teams that we tend to struggle with. So overall, I'm not sure whether we'll get it. If we don't, then it will be a disappointment, but not too much of a disappointment, because at the end of the day, there is a lot of big teams like Tottenham and Arsenal that are just not hitting them levels. So if we can sneak in, it will look better on us, but it will put more pressure on the traditional top 6 to actually perform. So if we don't get it and we slip out and we still get Europa League, I'm still well happy.
Okay. So if you drop out and get Europa League, you'll still be happy with the season, considering everything.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense.
Do you know what I've seen?
You've been in the top 3 since like November. That is not no way on earth. I know, of course, you weren't even expecting. You were probably targeting Europa League. So that I guess I see where you're coming from. But after having been in that position, it doesn't make sense. It's like me 5-6 years ago missing out on the title and saying, "Oh, I only expected top 4, so I should be happy." No, you're not going to be honest.
When you were top 3, like I said November, December, you were looking at the title. You thought we could do another 5,000 to 1, wasn't you?
And then I went to Liverpool game and we just got handed it to us. They were just better than us in every single way. So I think Ant put later on as well. Since then, Rodgers has doubted himself, and he's not quite in like put in his thing put in the tactics that he wanted. But we'll have to see. Overall, I know what you mean. If we slip out of the top 4, I would not be happy. I'll still take Europa League, because at the end of the day, it's still something that I've only experienced once. And to get back into Europe, I'm just hoping. But with players like Chelsea, and if Man United are firing and they're a better team than us, I've just got to hold my hands up and go, you guys deserve it. But we're in a decent position where we can lock down this, but we just need to get our act together and get on with it. Because we get 2 or 3 wins in a row, get that under our belts, and then we secured it, then I'll be happy. But there's a chance that it could move out for sure.
Me personally, I'm like, I want to get top 4, obviously, and I would love for Leicester to finish 5th and then Man City get their ban. I don't want to finish 5th and Man City get a ban because it's like, oh, we only got back in the as a rival, isn't it? Leicester are allowed to get in through the back door. Nobody's going to have anything to say, because if Leicester finish 5th, it's a good season anyway. So yeah, we finished top 4. Leicester finish 5th. Man City get done by UEFA, and everyone's happy. I think that'll be perfect. Go on, Toast.
Nah, because I was gonna say with Leicester, obviously Neil made a comment about how Leicester do well against the top 6. I don't think that's true this season. I think Arsenal and Spurs are the only top 6 side that you've beaten this season so far. You drew both games to Chelsea. You lost to Man United. You got hammered by Liverpool. You lost to Man City. And even the win against Spurs, it took a screamer from Maddison to win you a match that you probably didn't even. I was at that game. You didn't deserve to win that game. So you've not won against Watford, which you would have thought that was a gimme. You've not won against Brighton at home, which you would have thought that was a gimme. You still have Man City at your ground. You still have us away. You still have Arsenal at the Emirates. If I was a Leicester fan, I still think they're going to get top 4, but I would be worrying and asking for Brendan Rodgers to get his act together, because if all it takes is Man United maintaining this form, Chelsea maintaining this form, and all of a sudden Leicester are in a battle for top 6.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah. It's just we should have just secured it down earlier, but if whatever it takes, we should just try and get to Champions League, and that should be the aim now. With the opponents we've got so far, and we've got left the end of the season, we'll have to see. I think you're right. Normally Vardy does well against the top. He always manages to score against the top 6, but we'll have to. I think that's what I messed up saying. But yeah, I agree. If we don't get Champions League, it will be disappointing for sure, considering the position we're in. But if you said to me at the end of the season, if we can secure Europa League, I would have bit your hand off.
I think
I'm gonna. Oh, you go. Oh,
yeah. And I was gonna say.
Go on.
No, I was gonna say. With Leicester, I think one of their, from what I noticed, especially from today, I think one of their problems is that they're now seen as a big team from the lower clubs. So whereas before it was like it's Leicester, we maybe try to beat them strength for strength. Now that people know you're in the Champions League places, they sit back. And Leicester used to. When I watched Leicester today, I'm thinking there's no space for Vardy to run into, because Brighton's line is so deep. There's no space there. But Vardy loves a ball over the top, running behind and bang. That's his thing. He loves that. So he looked dead out of the game because he couldn't. But it's not because he's not good. It's because the other team is sitting so deep that he has to now try pick up the ball at his feet and try and skip past man. And that's not him. He just needs space and run. And I feel like now that Brendan's been given this task, and maybe that's why he's changed up a bit, because he thought, okay, I've got to provide a team to try and break another team down. But yeah, it's still not working because they're not, still not creating enough. And I don't think necessarily got the players to do that, because I don't think that's never been your style. But it's a case of now, all right. And I think it kind of happened in the second season when you got into the Champions League. That same season in the Premier League, in the Champions League you did quite good, but in the Premier League, teams are like, oh, let's start. They won the league. Let's sit deep. And Vardy started to struggle. There was no Mahrez. He just started to struggle a little bit. Sorry, Kante had left, and I feel like the same thing's happening again. People are starting to say, you know what? Let's just let Leicester come on to us and see what happens. And half time 0-0. All right, we're good still, and they're just struggling a bit. So yeah, Brendan's got a big job in the last 8 games, and then going forward next season, if you do get into Europe, to try and do that again, because I think in Europe teams will probably not see you as a big team, and you might get that. But in the Premier League, I think your time's up for that, man.
Well, yeah, I kind of agree, but at the end of the day, Vardy is still scoring. He's still the Premier League's top scorer, and we still managed to get other goals as well from other parts of the pitch. The issue with today's game is there was no service to Vardy. Simple as. So you were saying the 2 centre backs are there.
Brighton were a better team. A better team.
Yeah. I would say so as well. Brighton played a better, more. They know what they were doing. They had an identity to their football where they were going to settle for the point and then try and not get relegated, which I understand now, but we just didn't play well. So 2 central defenders that were just right in each other's space the entire time, basically cancelling each other out. And then Maddison had to drop deep. But the problem is, if you drop deep, literally, there was no room for them to really move. So you need to stick Maddison right up near Vardy or in the middle to go, you are the link man. And it works brilliantly. We've seen. So he changed the formation. He changed it to a 4-4-2 and stuck Maddison out on the wing, which didn't make any sense. Hopefully Rodgers will learn from it. But I know what you're saying Vardy's tactic has changed, though. It used to be a bit different where we'd hit them on the counter. The whole point of bringing Claude Puel and then Brendan Rodgers is that the teams have figured us out. As soon as we dropped into the relegation zone, Ranieri went and we had to find somebody that would bring a new identity. Now, Rodgers is that new identity and the new way of playing, which is you hold the ball more. And before, because I've been watching Leicester for ages, you see Vardy used to dash after everything and run around like a dog that's looking after his chew toy kind of thing. But now he kind of plays a different role where he'll stay and he'll go, okay, I've got to pick my time to go. Partly because he's 33, so he's still doing well. But also B, he's got other young players around him that can do all the running for him. So overall, yeah, I agree that the style has changed, but it's maybe not as we are getting there. But the problem is when the team that perform and big players like Maddison, like Chilwell didn't have the best game today. Like the formation was wrong. All these little things when you're at the top make a massive difference when a team's going to sit in.
Mm-hmm. Chilwell's overrated, by the way. Just wanted to shout.
I agree.
So
he's not worth 60 mil. If you watch him for the full game, he makes loads of mistakes. But the problem is on Sky Sports or Match of the Day or whatever on the highlight reels, he looks amazing.
I don't even think he looks amazing. I like Chilwell. I think he's a good fullback, but nowhere near worth the kerfuffle that I'm seeing in the papers, Man City and thingy. I genuinely think the only reason why he has a 60 million price tag is because he's English and he's half decent. So they're a premium nowadays.
Is he England's best left back?
Yeah,
he probably is now.
He is, but it's not because he's this amazing left back. He's England's best left back because the other his competition are subpar. Danny Rose he's finished. Luke Shaw is a fat Tobalard who can't even get string 5 out of 5 crosses. Who else is there? Who else does he have competition? Brandon Williams?
Brandon Williams? Maybe
Saka.
Who?
Saka. Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka's probably been as good as him at left back this season.
Yeah. The issue is with Chilwell is that he's great going forward. Defensively, everybody's getting past him. He doesn't like defending. And so he looks great going forward, but his actual defensive capabilities are just not there. If you're going to play a formation where you've got 2 wing backs, it makes sense. I think and just mentioned that he's average at best. We've been criticising Chilwell for a while, which is if Chelsea want to give us 60 mil, it will drive them down himself. But I don't know why they're so persistent or if it's just a media thing, but we'll have to see. But since we've won the league, we've pretty much have a main player, whether it was Maguire last season, Drinkwater season before, Mahrez, Kante, one of them big players has left. And to be fair, we've dealt with it quite well, apart from Mahrez. That was probably the player we've really seen come into his own for Man City and just been unplayable. And that's a player that hopefully the club will look to invest in a player, not as Mahrez, because it was like a 1 in a million kind of thing, but a similar player that's going to take on a player, beat him, and then cross it in.
Ramsey, I'll come to you. Obviously, we're talking about top 4. Tobes has ruled Spurs out. You didn't. But, I mean, Spurs are not in the FA Cup anyway. If Man United are focused on FA, or I say focusing, Man United are focused on top 4. Leicester are focused on top 4. Chelsea are focused on top 4. Does that give Arsenal, or should it give Arsenal, and maybe add Sheffield United into that, a big chance of winning the FA Cup? Because you think, for example, we're playing Norwich on the weekend in the FA Cup. I would expect Solskjaer to rotate for that game, because then we got I can't remember who the game after is on midweek, but we got a Premier League game midweek, which is for me more important. Chelsea and Leicester are playing in the FA Cup, so of course one of them are going out. Does this give Arsenal, this whole fight that maybe Arsenal aren't part of, does it give them a bigger chance of winning the FA Cup?
Absolutely no chance. Absolutely no chance. Because we're playing so bad right now that we have to win the games in the Premier League to show some sort of fight, even for anything, just to win games. So we have to play our best football in the Premier League right now. So we're fighting as much as anyone else. Plus the fact that we're not playing good at the moment, and luckily Sheffield United aren't in the best form as well. So it could be a decent game on the weekend. But I'd also add to that, Man City's still in it. They're playing Newcastle. They're Premier League's going to be decided in the next couple of weeks or so. So come the semi-finals, if they do make it, then they'll be getting held for level threat.
Pep said they're trying to secure their Champions League top 4 position in it, so they've got to focus on Premier League as well. Innit?
Well, listen, they can focus on the top 4 and the FA Cup with 2 completely different 11s. So one team could do the FA Cup, one team could do the Premier League, and they can do both convincingly. So that's not even a problem for Pep, man. They're good in that department, isn't it? But yeah, the FA Cup thing is just a case of it'll be nice to go through, but the reality is I got no hope for the rest of the season. So let's get this over and done with, man.
Yeah, I just saw that you guys are on 0 goal difference. 8 games to the end of the season, or 7 games.
I'm surprised it's not minus. How are we not minus by now? The amount of goals we conceded. Aubameyang's obviously helped us to keep it on the plus, on the neutral side.
But I'm gonna say the way that the injury table is looking, it doesn't look like it's gonna get any better because Pablo Mari's out for the season. It looks like Martinelli's out for the season. Leno's out for the season. Chambers, Torreira, I think they're both out probably for the season. I know Xhaka and Socrates are coming back, but yeah, it hasn't been a great restart for Arsenal. And going into the lockdown, they were on a decent run of form. Arteta looked like he was getting the team playing how he wanted. And Southampton away is not going to be an easy game. I mean, they struggle there at the best of times. And the way Danny Ings is playing, for example. Oh, and LSC Boyer just reminded me, David Luiz extension. So things are really bad for Arsenal at the moment. But yeah, as I said, the FA Cup is Arsenal competition. You've won it the most. You've won it frequently in the recent past since 2014. Is it twice or 3 times you might have won it now?
3 times.
3 times. So, I mean, it will be a massive boost for Arteta if he can win that in his first season.
It's not happening.
I'm trying to give you some hope, Roman.
Don't give me hope. I don't need hope. I need the season to end now.
I'm going to come back to you. So, I was going to touch on it, and there's a question as well that came in the live chat. It's about Jose. Is he the long-term? I mean, I'm going to say the answer is no. I don't think Jose is the long-term answer anywhere. But is he the right man for Spurs right now?
In my opinion, no. Nope. But I don't think he's the right man for the job, but I get why Daniel Levy might have hired him. Obviously, you have this ridiculous legacy. He's probably arguably the greatest manager of his generation, and he's someone who is known for coming in and getting results. But him getting results requires significant backing. It needs backing. And I just think the way he approaches matches, it's not for me. It's not for me anymore. And I genuinely don't think it brings significant results. When I see significant results, I mean trophies. I don't think it brings trophies. So for me personally, I don't think he's the right man for the job.
Say it doesn't bring trophies, but it does. Like, he came to Man United and it finished badly. But in that time, I mean, I'm not.
He won 2 trophies.
Shield, but he does. He claims it. He won 3 different trophies. Community Shield, League Cup.
Really gonna say 3. Listen, don't get me wrong. Of course he can win. Like, yeah, I would love a trophy. If he wins a trophy, I'll be delighted. But I just don't have any faith in him to actually deliver us anything significant, because I don't see him as a forward-thinking manager in this modern way of playing football. And it's not a plea for me to want Pochettino back. It has nothing to do with Pochettino. Him as a manager, I said it long before he was linked with us as a club. I don't think a side in the top 6 who are aspiring to challenge for the title should be hiring Jose Mourinho, because I don't think this is what he's good at anymore. I don't think it is.
In that same breath, in terms of forward thinking, taking Spurs forward, I need to ask about Ndombele. Have to, because there's obviously a lot of talk. Well, firstly, he came record transfer. Firstly, struggled, started the season under Poch, came under Jose. He hasn't looked. I mean, he struggled as well. He played a few games before the lockdown, but he struggled. A lot of talk even during the lockdown, going to the park and training. People thought Jose's putting in the work. He's putting in the work. We're going to see them after the break. Now, if I'm correct, he didn't come on today, did he?
Nope.
2 games. I mean, Jose didn't make the 10 subs that he could have over 2 games, but 2 games. He's had 10 opportunities 12 if you include the starting lineup, but 10 other opportunities to bring him onto the pitch. and he hasn't touched the pitch once. And if you look at the Man United game, for example, near the end of the game, surely, especially when it started going a bit end to end, not massively, but a little bit into the game opened up. Surely he's someone who could add something a bit different, give Pogba something to think about, give I think it was Matic was on at the time, give him something to think about. You know, maybe push some of the midfielders a bit further back because it's a new energy on the pitch. Today, you're 2-0 up, he brings on Winks. You know, that's Jose, and he wants to shut up shop. But the game is over. As far as I'm concerned, 2-0, West Ham weren't coming back into that. Give him a chance. Let him go out there. Give him, maybe he can get on the end of something and get a goal or give us a, what is happening with Ndombele and Jose?
Mate, like you said, we have a manager who's very results oriented, and for him today, it was all about getting the 3 points. He doesn't care how we play; he just wants to get the 3 points. Whether we scrape, crawl over the line, he just wants to get the 3 points. So I think with him right now, in my opinion, I don't think he trusts Ndombele, and that's worrying for me because this is our record signing. Arguably, our most.
Is he right not to trust Ndombele? Because I think, okay, we know that he's got the quality. We've seen the quality in terms of technical ability on the ball, but we've seen also within those same games where he's showing those flashes that he's not doing maybe the work off the ball that not even just a Jose needs, but any manager needs. We know Jose probably goes one level above in terms of off the ball work, tracking, pressing, etc., etc. But I think. Is Jose justified in his reasoning for like not trusting him?
He was before lockdown. Before lockdown, he even came out and criticized him, and every single fan agreed with him. Me, who doesn't even like him at our club, I agreed with him. Ndombele needed to buck his ideas up. He couldn't even last 35 minutes without huffing and puffing. So, but now he's put the work in. He's even trained with you. You got him out to train. He trained with you. He's considerably leaner. The guy plays. The guy gets minutes in our sort of like pre-season fixtures, but yet he hasn't played a single minute for you. You don't think that's strange?
No, it is
weird. It's weird. If you look at our team, there is no other player with a bigger profile than he is that's on the bench, apart from maybe Alderweireld. And we all know Alderweireld is going to be back in the team in no time. But with Ndombele, there's this cloud of uncertainty, and it's worrying me, and it's worrying a lot of Spurs fans because the guy's talent is unbelievable. And a manager like Jose Mourinho needs to find a way to make that work. I had thought they'd come to some sort of amicable relationship because the way he was talking about him, a day before we played Man United, he was saying, yeah, Ndombele is ready. I'm really happy with his application and the way he's buckled down and stuff. So then why don't you play him? Ali was suspended. But the minute he's fit, straight back into the team. Lucas Moura was injured first game. The minute he's fit, straight back into the team. Giovanni Lo Celso, the minute he's fit, straight back into the team. Where is Ndombele's consideration here? Ali has not played well for months. Lucas Moura has not played well for months, but yet Ndombele can't even get a single minute. It's weird.
Is this just not Jose all over?
And Jose's a different character because sometimes this could mean something very good or something very bad. If he's dropped you to the point that I'm done, he's really done with you and you ain't getting back in that team. Or he really likes you and he's trying to give you that kick out the backside. There's no in between with Jose. It's one or the other. So go on.
But he's a weirdo though because you don't need. Listen, I get it. You have to kick him out the backside, but this guy. He knows what he needs to do, and he just won't do it. I remember when he first came into the team, it was obvious that Eric Dyer was never going to work at CDM because he just doesn't offer the defense any protection. He can't play that role well, and yet he kept playing him. We came to your ground at Old Trafford, and I remember at that game we needed players who could actually keep the ball and take the ball forward. He doesn't start Lo Celso or Ndombele. It took Lo Celso a month and a bit just to even get a look in of Jose Mourinho. So
he looked good today.
Exactly. So for me, Lo Celso practically had to force his hand and start churning out top performances just to keep himself in that team. So for me, I don't trust that this manager is doing it as it's an exercise. I genuinely think that there's something more that we don't know there. There must be some sort of a personal issue here. There must be. Because for him to not even get minutes, there must be something up. And I'm seeing rumors on Telefoot that Ndombele has officially told him this week that he no longer wants to play for Tottenham.
Wow.
So now we're in a position where we have to choose between our manager who's earning 15 million pounds sterling a year, or a player who, by all accounts, is one of the most talented midfielders in the world, who we've signed for 63 million, who we've invested heavily in, and we see a long future with.
No,
we all know what happens here. The manager's going to win, and we're going to miss out on a player.
Well, it depends. It depends, because the reason why I can relate to it, because when we had Jose, there was a lot of talk about Martial going, a lot of talk about Pogba. Those are the two, especially after he brought in Sanchez in terms of Martial. And Ed Woodward vetoed both of those decisions, basically, to get rid of them. And in the end, that led to the breakdown of their relationship and ultimately the end of Jose. So considering how financially, let's say, astute, for the sake of the stream, Daniel Levy is, I would be surprised if he gave into if Jose wants to get rid, if he does, I'll be surprised that he will give into that, unless he gets the exact amount of money back that he sold him for, bought him for. Because 63 million, are they going to get 63 million for him to sell him now? I'm going to say no, because he had a whole season and he pretty much ain't done nothing, partly due to his own fault and obviously the two managers that were there. I'll be very surprised if Levy allowed that decision to say we're going to give up on that investment straight away. But yeah, if you have that, go on.
No, sorry, I was going to say me too. But when you're a chairman who's gone all out for this manager who needs to have it his specific way or the highway, what happens then? You're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, at some point something has to give. Speaking of transfers, I want to come to Neil. Now, obviously, there's a lot of talk about, as you mentioned before, after Leicester have a good season, maybe they lose one or two of their best players. Kante, Mahrez, Drinkwater, Maguire. There's talk about Chilwell, as we mentioned. And obviously, there's been talk about Maddison, who's been one of your best players this season. Is this transfer window going to be difficult for Leicester, with or without Champions League football, in terms of keeping hold of their best players?
Potentially. We'll have to see, depending on... I think if we get Champions League, probably no. Even if I think we do, I think we'll lose, for example, Chilwell. I think Chilwell is somebody that will go to Chelsea. A lot of papers are talking about it. I think earlier in the season, he was actually linked with Chelsea during the winter transfer window, and apparently he was bragging to the other LCFC players, and he was dropped from the squad for just one match. And Brendan Rodgers refused to say why that was. He just goes, personal disagreement. And he was brought in the next match. So I think it's been happening for a while now that Chilwell has wanted to go. And yes, I think he will go. Maddison, I think his relationship with Vardy is super, super important. I was reading recently that Vardy helped convince him to come, and it's a local boy. So comes from Coventry. It's like this area is close to where he lives. He can really push on to the next level, in my opinion, with our Leicester squad. We've seen, for example, with like Maguire, for example, if you get that big money transfer, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, and you don't always live up to it. So I think we can keep hold of everybody bar Chilwell, which will be okay as long as we get in a player like Tierney from Arsenal, or we get a similar kind of player. We'll have to see.
What? Where's that come from? You're not getting him.
What are you saying, Ramon? Tierney going to, can't get in the Arsenal team. Obviously,
he can, though. He started against Man City.
Bukayo Saka is the main man, you said, isn't it?
No chance.
Yeah, I saw the rumors that he's not happy, that he wants to leave, but I can't see after the first year him going. If it was maybe a second year in, especially the fact that he didn't play because obviously he got injured against West Ham, dislocated his shoulder and was out for the season. Not really his fault. But then, he played against Man City, then Kolasinac came in against Brighton, so he's not necessarily playing every game. And obviously Saka's there as well. But no, I think he will stay at that. You can have Kolasinac. Give us 25 or something, and then you can have Kolasinac.
£25 or?
I'll take that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting. As I said, there was a comment there from Aston Boys to hear from Beyond the 90. William Carvalho. Yeah, I saw that link.
Yeah, I
This
saw that today.
evening, actually, I think it was.
I saw that too.
They've agreed. Was that? Was on Bleacher Report?
Yeah, Bleacher.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
agreed.
They're saying it's a done deal.
Would you be happy with that signing? I mean, William Carvalho is a player that has been touted to come to the Premier League for a number of years. Man United, Arsenal, for the name too.
Jose one of them, yeah.
So, yeah, would you be happy with that? And where does he fit in?
So basically, we've got 3 players currently. We've got Chowdhury as a CDM. We've got Ndidi, who's our main CDM. We've got Mendy. Mendy's out of the contract at the end of the season. It looks like he'll move on. William Carvalho will. This is the kind of player that we need to build our Champions League squad. So we'll be playing a lot more games. He's got European experience. He knows the Premier League. He knows how the system works. He knows what he's getting from our squad. So that's pretty much, I think, why we've signed him. It's a good sign because at the end of the day, we've signed Wes Morgan on a year contract. We've signed our third keeper on a year contract. And we've signed Christian Fuchs on a year contract as well. So these players aren't at the peak of their careers or whatever, but they're kind of just squad members that will make up the numbers, which we were kind of scared of, to be honest, because I was thinking, crap, are we going to come into the Champions League with as good as Wes Morgan was? I don't see a future.
Big up my Jamaican brother, Wes Morgan, Champions League winner, and Premier League winner. Sorry,
we rate him. Trust me, we rate him in Leicester, but at the same time, is he going to be Champions League quality? Is he going to have his pants pulled down? The chances are he is. He's mainly there, in my opinion, for morale. And he's led the line in terms of a captain's figure for ages. And that's why they've kept him on rather than he's a stellar defender.
One question. How much for Maddison?
100 mil, I think the club has said. We stick to our guns.
Huh?
I think that's what the club has said. Just to put everybody off in January.
Keep him.
Yeah, you're gonna
100 mil. You are smoking.
I don't believe that. I think that's what the club have estimated him at. In the same way we said 80 mil for Maguire, and that ended up going through. And we've not really seen 80 million worth of player.
We were desperate for a centre back. We got desperate. But because I did a video earlier, like a few months ago about Maddison or Grealish, and I was like, quality wise, there's nothing. There's not much to choose between the two. I think Grealish might be a bit more versatile. He does play on the left, but he can also play centrally. But for the price differential that we're hearing, Grealish was between like 40 and 60, whereas Maddison was between 80 and 100. And I'm like, Maddison is not twice the player of Grealish. So you know what? Let's and I said because Grealish can play in other positions, probably a bit better than Maddison. For me, I would take that all day. But yeah, if Maddison can half that price, Corona discount or something like that, then.
Well, the thing is with Leicester, to be fair, I don't think he's worth 800 mil. That's what the club have quoted, in my opinion, from what I've heard as well. But the issue is they stick to their guns. They said, we want 80 million for Maguire. We're happy to keep him. If we lose 80 mil, we'll lose. If we lose him, we keep him in the squad. That's cool. So in my opinion, he's only worth 60 to 70. In my opinion, also, him and Grealish will make a great centre pairing for England going forward. They've both got different qualities. So you've got Maddison's more of a free kick, set piece taker, ability to distribute the ball more. Well, I think Grealish has the ability to get the ball and just drive at people. And you've seen that where he can pull Aston Villa out. I know they're currently in the relegation zone, but he can pull them out of trouble when and if he needs to. We saw this personally when we played with them against the semi-finals of the EFL. But Maddison can't quite do that same thing. So if you are going to do that, I think it'll be a great player for you. Maddison in that aspect is better at playing alongside somebody, having somebody to link up with, like Yuri Tillemans, for example. But
if you want to get in comparisons, I think if you're looking at those attributes, Maddison will be, say, a Lampard, and Grealish will be a Gerrard. One has to literally drag their team by the scruff of the neck, and the other one, very good player, quality player, and as long as you get the right players around them, they can succeed. Yeah. But a long way to go before they can really be compared with those two players. We'll come to Tobes. In terms of what Spurs need positionally, is defense the most important, or is this other holes that you need to fill. Because you look at Lo Celso, I think he's a very good signing. Bergwijn, I think that's a brilliant signing. Brilliant. I think I saw a tweet he put out the other day. It might be in Footy Says, and they were saying which of these 3 players do you think is gonna make the most impact next season? Pepe, Bergwijn, and I can't remember who the third one was now. And I'm like, Bergwijn. I think the way he plays, I think it very much suits what Jose wants. So as long as Jose is there, he's gonna get his chance. Pepe, don't know. Arteta didn't buy him, so you don't know if he's gonna feed directly into what Arteta wants. We've seen him in, sometimes out. But I think Bergwijn's a very good player. What other positions do you think Spurs need? And also, finally, Kane. What is the future of Kane? We saw during the lockdown, he had a chat on Instagram Live with Jamie Redknapp, talking about he wants to win trophies, etc., etc. Is his future, long-term future at Spurs?
Okay, so first, let me answer the first one. So in terms of what we need minimum 4 to 5 players. We need a new left back. That is painfully clear. We need a new left back, and we need a new left back. We need a new first choice right back. We 1000% need a new centre back. We need a defensive midfielder, and we need a backup striker. Those are the 5 positions that we need, and all 5 are as important as each other. It's no more a case of
you need a backup striker because you've got
100%.
because Bergwijn and Moura and Son, you don't think in Harry Kane's absence they can work something there?
Lucas, don't get me wrong. Sonny is a top forward. He's a top forward, but he's not a striker. So there were many games he played, even when he scored, where he was invisible. He was anonymous, and he didn't. On another day, we wouldn't have won those games because I don't think he offers the way Jose Mourinho plays. Sonny doesn't. Those qualities aren't suited to Sonny. Mourinho doesn't play a fluid brand of football. He very much likes his team to soak up pressure and always have the out ball, i.e. the target man who can hold up the ball. None of these players can give us that. So I think we need a backup striker who can give us that, but can offer us something different to Harry Kane. Maybe
it's funny you say that, because in his press conference the other day, he's talking about how all of his strikers have scored goals, because I think Paul Merson had a question whether it was Kane's future there, and all the strikers he mentioned, as you said, they're kind of target men / out balls. He mentioned Zlatan, he mentioned Drogba, he mentioned Milito. The only one that you wouldn't say is Cristiano Ronaldo, but he's just on another level to anyone else.
Yeah. So exactly. So I think we need a backup striker. Harry Kane, we know now at least 2 to 3 months a season now. He's good for an injury. So we've needed a backup striker for years, a good backup striker. And I don't mean none of that Llorente nonsense or Janssen nonsense.
Llorente was decent.
No.
Man got to get to the Champions League semis.
I don't care. He's not good. He's not good. He wasn't what we needed. I'm judging on how they're going to perform over the course of the season, as opposed to just one game. So a strike. So those are the positions that we need. Whether we're going to fill them this summer, I don't know. And that sort of takes me onto the Harry Kane point. The Harry Kane point, him staying is dependent on, like he said, it's dependent on us matching his ambitions. Yeah. In his eyes, we've probably matched his ambitions in terms of the manager. I may not like the manager, but you can't sweat Jose Mourinho's record. Like I said, arguably the greatest manager of his generation. So already you've shown ambition in getting someone like Mourinho to come to the club, paying them X amount. The next step you got to do is you got to back Mourinho. And you have to back him by getting all these players and plugging these holes that we need. Because if you don't plug the holes, you're not going to match Kane's ambition. And if you don't match Kane's ambition, he's off. Our only saving grace this season is that it's coronavirus, and the teams who can afford Harry Kane don't actually need him. They don't really need him.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe Man United, and even them, I don't see you lot spending 100 plus million on Harry Kane or something. I can't see it.
We could do Harry Kane. I mean, most teams probably could, but it's not a priority position for that amount. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Would you think he would move abroad to Spain? Real Madrid is linked a lot.
I don't know. I can't see that either. I think he seems like someone who'd want to stay in the Premier League. I think he spoke about breaking records in that same live with Jamie Redknapp. So I think one of the records that
he said he preferred to win trophies than break records. He said.
Oh, he said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I think like that the Alan Shearer record is one that he could break. Obviously injuries permitting, injuries aside, I think he could actually break that 260 goals in the Premier League as long as he remains in the Premier League. But yeah, we'd have to wait and see. Guys, it has been good. It's been an hour, but it's flown by. And I'm sure definitely we're gonna have you both back on at some point between now and the final 8 games of the Premier League season. A lot of big games coming up. Everyone watching, everyone tuned in, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. In the description below is the link to everyone's social media page. Make sure you check out Tap-In Football Podcast and Beyond the 90, the Leicester fan podcast. And of course, hit the like button, hit the share button, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next time.
Bro.